All right, we're gonna go look at a house. It's an REO, and I'm flipping it, and I want to show it to you, and I want to tell you the story about it. I'm selling it to a HUD buyer, an end user HUD buyer. So we're gonna take a ride, and we're gonna go check it out. Come on. Hey, okay. So we're driving to the house, and I thought while I'm driving, I'd just tell you the quick story of it. It's a bank-owned REO. It was brought to me by the listing agent. This is an agent that I've done a number of deals with, and he's an REO listing agent. This was his listing. He works with the bank and the asset managers, and he actually brought it to me before it went on the market. So it was a pre-list REO, or a shirt pocket listing, which you've probably heard me talk about. And it appraised around 110. Needs basically nothing, or a little bit of plumbing repairs because the pipes had frozen, which is very common up here. And they were asking 72,000. Make a long story short, I got the deal for 60,000. Okay, 60 even. I have it sold for 80,000, and we're closing it either today or tomorrow or the next day. But we're there. Everything's set, and the bank. The buyer is doing an FHA loan. And here's what's interesting about that. When there was an appraisal required, which came in, by the way, at 100,000. I have it sold for 80. The appraisal came in for just under $100,000. FHA wanted to see, they saw the house I bought for 60, and they saw that I'm selling it for 80, and they wanted to see what I had done to the property. They basically were asking, what did you do to the property to take it from 60 to 80,000? Well, I really didn't do anything except just a couple of plumbing repairs, and that's it. And of course, I have property taxes that I'm incurring, during a very short period of time here and all. So what I did was I just basically presented them with a list of my expenses. And at first, everybody thought, oh, this isn't going to do it. But it ended up that FHA was fine with my numbers, and they accepted the deal. They're financing it. The guy's getting in with 3% down. But I think what did it, I think the reason why that FHA was so quick to okay the 60 to 80,000 difference in price with very little to justify it, is because it appraised for so much more than what they're buying it for. So I think that helped make them comfortable with this situation. Now, you might think that this is something new, that FHA, when they're financing the buyer, and it doesn't happen every time, but occasionally asking for justification for why the price went from here to here, you might think that's new. It's not. In fact, the very first deal I ever did in 1993 was a foreclosure. It was an REO that I bought, that I sold. That one I rehabbed. It was in Rochester, New York. And I sold it to an FHA buyer. Well, in 1993, they wanted a list of the repairs that I had done in order to justify the price from what I had paid for what I was selling it for. They wanted me to justify it. So, a long time ago they were requiring it. So it's nothing new. So you might say, okay, well, how's this going to affect me? What does this mean to me? Well, if you're wholesaling a house to another investor, you won't face this because FHA doesn't finance investor loans, or they don't insure investor loans. The only time you'll face this is if you're dealing with an end user buyer and they're bringing an FHA loan to the table. So it's largely avoidable if you stick to junkers to investors. This house, and a lot of my students, they find good deals on houses that are in bankable or move-in condition, and so to sell it to another investor doesn't make any sense. There's no repairs to be done. Sell it to the end user, get more. Well, the trick is you still want to sell it cheap. Okay, I could have sold this thing for $100,000, but I didn't want to wait. I just wanted it gone quickly, and so I sold it for 80 and was happy to get it. I bought it for 60, and that's a nice spread. So selling it cheap and that appraisal coming in for more really solved the problem, and that problem you'll only face when you're dealing with an end user buyer who's using an FHA financed loan. One other thing to point out about this before we get there, and we're almost there. The buyer is a backup buyer. So I took this deal to my buyer's list. I found a buyer immediately who was willing to pay $75,000, and I took it. I said, fine, that's good. Took the deal. Pardon me. But then for some reason, and I don't know that I ever really got the gist of it, the buyer backed out. Well, I kept his earnest money deposit, and which was, I think, $1,000 or $2,000. So I got that, and I immediately went to my backup buyers, because see, what happened was when I went to my buyer's list, I found a buyer immediately at $75,000. I took it, and then I had 2 or 3 other people say, I want it, and this one said, I would have given you $80,000 for it, and I thought, oh, geez, well, all right, I'll let you know if this deal doesn't fly. And it didn't, so I went to the backup buyer, and now we're closing, and I'm making more. So I kept their first earnest money deposit, bonus, and I sold it for more because of having that buyer's list and having that backup buyer. Pretty slick. Just another day. We're almost there. Not much to it. It's not all that fancy, but one cool thing about it, one nice feature, is it's on a 2-acre lot, and in this area that's pretty big. In some areas that's beyond belief big, but in this area that's pretty big and desirable. Plus, just right there, you can't see it, but through those trees is one of the Finger Lakes, and so this is a very desirable town because of the nice easy access to the lake. So it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, got a nice shed here, and lots of land up and trails and stuff up through the woods. And this is a desirable place. I'm not surprised I had no trouble at all selling it. So let's go inside. All right, we're inside. Just run you through the place real quick. There's nothing real special about it. Just a little mud room here on the way in. And we got the bedroom here. Needs a little repair on the wall there, but that's no big deal. Big bathroom here. You know, it's not. This is obviously not a house that was just freshly rehabbed, but it's in perfectly good condition. There's like a side room there. But check this out. This was a big selling feature here. Was this huge living room and kitchen. So I mean, this is a nice feature when the kitchen is open out into the living area with a little bar where you can sit. This is a very desirable layout. There's laundry back here and a back door. You know, it's not a fancy house, but it's certainly in moving condition, and the buyers are excited because they got a smoking deal on it, and they got it with very little money. This is another bedroom and a full bath here. And so, not all that exciting. It's certainly not to me, but you know, bought it for 60, sold it for 80. Put it in the file cabinet, and let's do it again.